Hello coders, today we are into our last video in the series Counting Characters Problem. If you haven't watched my previous video, please go to my channel and watch this because knowing different techniques will always help you to approach new problems in different ways. In today's solution, we are using a simple array with 256 size. Why 256? Because we have currently 256 ASCII characters defined. I've put a link in the description. You can go and check what all are there. When we use an array with 256 size, it means that we associate each ASCII value with our index number. Suppose let's take capital A. When you take capital A, its ASCII value is 65. Whenever a capital A repeats in our string, ASCII value 65, which we represent to our index number 65, we keep on incrementing the value of index 65. We know that in array, default value is 0. When a is repeated once, value becomes 1. When a is repeated twice, it will become 2 and so on. Rest all other values will be 0. Let's take an example and understand the solution. For input feed f ASCII values for 70, so we increment it to 1. When you check for 69 value, that is e, we keep on incrementing it to as many as repeated. Hope you understand this video. At first what we did is we took the f, we took its ASCII value and corresponding index number, we incremented the value. Same for the e. When you use increment operators, it automatically reads for previous value and increments it by 1. This is half of our solution. Now we have to give a output. We take each character from the string and we go to the corresponding index number and fetch the value from it. Now let's write the coding for it. As always, we have used scanner class to take input and get occurring char is where we have to write our program. So in our first step, we have to initialize two variables. One is count array and another is length of the string. So let's do that. Now what we have to do is we take a loop through which we will increment each and every occurrence of a character. As we have discussed in the video, every ASCII value corresponds to the index number in our array. You need to understand this statement very well. What it does is, it takes a character from our string and converts into ASCII value which corresponds to its index and increments value from 0 to 1 or whatever it is before. Defaultly, our array has all values initialized to 0. To understand the statements, let's take an input string s, which includes ABCD. Let's comment on the rest of the string and we'll pass it to the s. If you see, what it should do is, it increments the value of index a, that is 65, to 1. The build has finished successfully. Now let's print count of 65, which represents to the value a. It returns the 1. Now what will happen when it change it to double A? It should return us 2. Yes, it has written. So our program is working perfectly. I hope you understand what that caret I is doing here. Count statement is doing. This statement is very important to understand. Now we have halfway through. Now what we have to do is print our statements. That is, get the value from there and print it. For that, we need a new character array, which we'll use to compare the rest of the characters. This is how we define a new character array. We will take a for loop in which we'll compare the array and get our output. First, what we'll do is we'll initialize ch of high to the first character that is occurring in our string. Then also initialize a find variable which will help us to get only single value. That is, if we already checked a value A, we should not check it again. That will give us the wrong output. It will print us double. A will print get first. A will print as many times as it was repeated. To avoid that, what we are using is a find variable. What we'll do with this variable is, when it's repeated only once, when its value is 1, we'll print. Else we don't print anything. We'll keep on checking on to the next value. We will need another loop which will help us to increment this find value. What we'll do is, we'll check if the value is already in our character array. That is new character array ch. Suppose take an input A, B, C, D like it was here before. When A is repeated once, it will directly print the value 2. When we check A at one position, it will also print the value if we don't use this statement. Now we are into our final step, that is printing the value as our desired output. This statement will print the exact output. Now let's give an input boss. Let's run our program. BOS. Our program is working very fine. Then we write ignite coder. We will not use println, we will use print. Our program is working very accurately. Let's try for another input. It's working fine too. Hope you understood all three techniques which will help you to solve new problems in new different ways. Thanks for watching guys. Our next video will be on aptitude. Stay tuned.